Well, let's take you to veteran journalist Lesley Mofokeng, who joins us on the line to discuss then the life and times of Bob Mabena. Lesley, you seem to be the one person who has lived through this industry. You understand the likes of an individual like Bob Mabena quite closely, because you not only watch from the outside and take a look at what makes people like him successful, you also have had the opportunity of writing about him.
Kathy, good evening. It's a very difficult one this evening. I want to pass my condolences to the family of Bob Mabena. I call him Uncle Bob. And because he represented that generation of elders of radio. He was an institution, he was a giant, he was an overachiever. I knew Bob Mabena. I was a young student growing up in Mofokeng when he was on Radio Bob. He was a big star even then. And then TV came along and all these other positions came and just catapulted him into another sphere, into another place. So it is a sad day. It's the end of an era. It's the institution of radio has shut down. It is a difficult one. I don't know how the family is coping. I'm sending them love and best wishes, and hoping that they find peace. It is really devastating.
Lesley, what do you think it was about Bob that made him as popular as he was, that also made him appeal to so many different types of people?
I think he was right on time. He was a man of his time. In the 90s, he was the cool sort of kid back then. He was the one guy that made TV look so cool. He presented a game show, I remember, that we all watched and that we loved. And he just had this cool vibe about him. When rap and hip-hop became a thing, he was there. He even rapped. He lived a beautiful life. I mean, my last memory of Uncle Bob was when I interviewed him a year ago to celebrate his 50th. That day he chose me. He asked me to come to his office and so we can sit and talk and reflect on his life. And I remember the last line of one of the last things he said to me. He said, I feel like I've lived 5 lives. That's how much he's crammed in his life. He did everything. He was larger than life. He was very charismatic. He was charming. He was kind, and he was approachable. You know, he was a guy from Atteridgeville, and he spoke Pitori, and he was just a cool guy. I mean, I don't know what other words to use to describe Uncle Bob, but he was just a charmer. They call him the German, but he was also the charmer. And he lived a beautiful life. He up to 50, but it feels like he's been around for 100 years. He was really that phenomenal.
Lesley, before I let you go, you've touched on something so important that even he said to you in his own reflections, that he feels like he's lived, 5 different lives. And he really was a versatile person when you look at his ability to work on different platforms, but also occupy different roles, whether behind the microphone or behind the scenes as station manager.
That is correct. Uncle Bob, I think, is one of those pioneers of celebrity, or black celebrity as we know it. He was so cool in that way that we saw a celebrity. He became a radio personality that became a celebrity that crossed over. And he moved into managerial positions, but he still kept the celebrity going. And he had that appeal about him. And he was also a great father, by the way. I remember he introduced me to some of his children. He spoke beautifully about them. He was a loving father, and he was an amazing husband to his wife. He was he played all his roles. He was the go-to. We have influencers today. People talk about influencers. When we grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, the influencers were Bob Mabena and his generation. And he led from the front. He really did he crammed a lot in his life. There's so much that we can learn from the life of Bob Mabena in terms of not holding back and living the best life that you have. He lived 5 lives. It feels like it. There's so much that we can say about Bob Mabena. It will never be enough. I remember a lot of things after this interview that I wish I had said, but I appreciate that you gave me this opportunity to reflect and pass my condolences to the family, the fans, and the general South Africans on this devastating loss. It really is devastating. It's really gone too soon. He was still too young. We expected a lot from him.
Lesley,
so, yeah, thank you.